Yeah, go ahead. So the one the halacha of eating milchig and flashig on one table. What's you allowed? What you're not allowed? So it's a Mishnah in Chulin Daf Kuf Zayin Amud Beis. Rabbi Shimon and Gamliel Omer. Shnei achsanoim, two guests. Oichlim al shulchan echad. The basar was a gwina and choshishim. One could eat his flashig, one could eat his milchig, and they don't have to worry. They might come to mix up. The Gemara says on this Mishnah, Omar Rab Chanan Bar Ami, Omar Shmuel, Lo Shonu Ela Shen Makirim Zeh. Two guests, or maybe two people meeting in a park, or eating
restaurant.
Well, restaurant usually you're not going to be able to have milchig and flashig in the same restaurant. Normally it's going to be separate. So let's say they met somewhere in a hotel in a park, and it says. When they don't know each other, they know each other, they're not allowed because they might get from each other something to eat and they're going to mix basar v'cholam. All right, this is a lot of details over here, what not, what yet, so I'm going to go straight to the Shulchan Aruch and we'll see over there some details on this halacha. That's in Yeridei Peiches. It says like this. Afilu basar chaya v'oif, also la'alos al shulchan shoichel alav gvina. Afilu meaning even though the basar chaya v'oif with the milk is drabonon, but a lot of archokes and basar v'cholav would probably have the most archokes, and the whole idea of basar v'cholav is archoke. Archoke meaning it's separation, because basar on its own it's kosher, cholav on its own, but there's something that we don't mix if they're separated between them. So between basar v'cholav there's a lot of archokes, even though it's the drabonon, we don't put them at the same table. And it says like this. Yeah, if they know each other, meaning even though you know they're not going to share with each other, two people that don't know each other, mutar. Now, so what? So there's no such a thing. People don't know each other could eat on the same table, one with one flashig. Yeah, there is. How? They made some kind of hecker of the recognition. You have your own tablecloth. He has his own tablecloth. Or they put some bread they don't eat now. Let's say they didn't wash for a moitzi. Or they have something that normally is not on the table. You could eat together. Again, so the only way you could eat at the same table, milchig and flashig, two people sitting, when they have something to a recognition that so something normally is not there, they put it to remind them that you cannot mix with each other now to eat because you're eating milk and your flesh. Now, there is some inyanim over here there's some halachas that come to makel, to have leniencies, and some machmir. Now, the kula is, that's what the shach brings. The shach says, when we're saying you need to have, if you're eating at the same table, that you one milchig, one flashig, you need to make a heker if you're eating basar b'cholam. They're both kosher. But what happens if you're sitting at a park with a friend or not a friend and nochri? He's eating basar nevela. He's eating non-kosher meat, and you eating kosher meat, or you eating milchig. Are you allowed to sit with the same table with him, or you might say, oh, you might take something from him? So he says that's we're allowed because we call echad the heter b'fnei atzmai. Here's the lashon of the shach. They're both kosher. You might eat the same day, one time milchig, one time flashig, but two different days. That's both kosher. Each one is permissible to you. If you're eating kosher meat and you have a partner, a friend that's eating at the same table with you, he is treifa meat, that you allowed you not to make any recognition.
You're not going to eat anyway.
Yeah, because since it's also you bottle, you mean you there's no chashash you might come and tell them, let me try your sandwich or your piece of meat because you're not eating non-kosher. So that's one heter you have a gabe basar nevela. If you're eating that, the whole idea is you should not come to eat, and that's we're not choshesh for that. Okay. So it says that by chometz you're not allowed to do that. Let's say you're sitting in a park and there's somebody eating chometz and you're eating matzah. That's because over there we're more machmir and chometz, but the gabe basar nevela we're matzah. So that's, like I said, one kula. Then there is one chumrah. This day Chemed brings. That's his own svara, but then he brings that also he saw such a thing in Sefer Yad David. What he says like this: when we say that two people could eat one milchig and flashig with a separation on the table with some recognition, that only when there's two people. What happens if you're alone at home and you eating now milchig, let's say, and there is some kind of meat or chicken on the table, or vice versa. There's a yogurt on the table, which has happened to me yesterday, and you eating flashig. Are you allowed to eat on that table with recognition, putting something in between your milchig and flashig and eat over there? So he says that's the lotion of the zdei chemeda. He says, how the kaimel and what we know, the shnaim ochim al shulchan echad ze bostav ze gwin adei heker shebenem, by putting some kind of mechitza, some kind of recognition over there. Nira de lo ma'ane ela b'shnei b'nei odom. Only when it's two people you have that heter. Aval b'odom echad lo ma'ane heker. If you're alone at home, and you say there's on one side of the table there's milchig, one flashig, you're eating one of them, and you say I have a recognition, that doesn't help. You meaning you need two things over here. The Chachamim they're permitted to do this way. Two things you need. A, two different people. B, you have a heker. You put something to make a recognition that you, to reminder that you're not allowed to mix. But by one person, he says, you cannot do that. There is a strong raya. I don't want to go through the whole thing from the Gemara for this opinion. And he says, "V'chen das Rav Yad David." Yeah, and he says, "V'chsiv the lo all al dat latir ad heker ba'odam echad." And he also writes, he says, the reason a lot of poskim came out, don't talk about this, he said, it's so poshut, he said, there's the chemet, the whole heter, again, you need two things to matter, to eat on the same table, and have some, the opposite of what you're eating, milchig, flashig, then there's two people, and there is a heker. But one person, the heker doesn't help. So that's one chumrah. Then, there's another chumrah that Rabbi Akiva Eiger brings. Let's say you're eating at the table, and you don't put any recognition, you don't put anything between when you're eating your flashing and there is a milchig at the table, but you put a shomer. You tell your wife, you tell somebody, watch me, I'm eating now my flashing, make sure I don't touch the milchig. Shomer. Are you allowed to do that? And he says, Rabbi Akiva Eiger, it's from Sefer Gan HaMelech. So we see two chumras. Hey, if you alone, you cannot put anything recognition between you. And if you're eating milchig between you and flashig, there have to be two people. Also, to put a shomer, it doesn't eat with you. A shomer it also doesn't help. Okay, then there's another. I'm going to bring another heter and then a suffix in that heter. It brings the Pesach Shiur brings from the Bach and many other poskim b'shem Rashal. The b'yoshvim rechoikim zemizeh. Let's say we sit on one table like here. You're sitting on one side, far away. How far? It's not reachable. With the hand, you have to get up and walk to each other. So the Bach and the Rashal, the Marshal, saying that you don't have to have anything in between you. You could eat milchig, the other way I could eat flashig, because the whole thing is you might reach to him or share with him and with each other. But if you're eating far away from each other, it's not reachable. You don't eat anything. So that's another kula. Now my question was, what happened? We established one person recognition doesn't help. Even a shomer, according to Rabbi Akiva Eiger, doesn't help to have somebody to guard you. It doesn't have one person. You have to remove, if you're eating flesh, remove the milk from the table. But what happens if you have a long table like this? I'm eating over here flashig, and I have the edge of the other side of the table, I have milchig. Would that be also okay? It's not reachable. So I have a suffix on it. So on one hand, I could say, the whole idea you might come to eat from it, so it's far away, you're not going to come to eat from it. From another hand, I could say, when we said according to this day chemed, you need two people, then you need recognition. By one person doesn't help. So l'choira, that's the distance would be like a mechitza, like something you put in the middle for recognition, and doesn't help by one person. So maybe you go the distance also doesn't help. You could say that, or you could say no, since it's not reachable. I have a so all this inyanim from Boston Bechov. The more we machmir, the more it's bring kedusha to the person. The whole idea of separation, it's kedusha. Like I said, all Boston B'cholav, it's enough separation. They're both kosher. So the more l'chayre should be machmir. If you're alone sitting at the table, even that's far away from you, it's not reachable. You should not sit to eat on the table unless you remove. If you eat flashig, the milchig first. Now the Kaf HaChaim brings another cooler combination of two chumras. We said already one person doesn't help, but even you have a shomer. So he says. He said if you combine the two things, you made the recognition, you're eating alone. Yeah? And you tell somebody, watch me, I should not eat from the opposite, I'm eating flashig, I should not eat from the milchig. If you combine the two together, it's okay. Meaning, if you have a mechitza, you're eating alone, and you tell somebody, watch me, the two together makes it okay. All right, if you remember all the details, if not, try to separate completely from milchig and flashig, especially if you eat alone, that if you eat flashig, should be no milchig on the table or vice versa. And like I said, all this separation bringing upon us more and more kedusha.